Oh, hello everyone. Welcome back. We're doing some vlogging, and this time with the Budweiser. Budweiser to accompany. It's apparently the king of beers, according to their label. The king of beers, Budweiser claims to be. I wouldn't quite agree with them, but swallowed incorrectly there. They do okay. Not too bad. But yeah, it's a summer's day. You know, it's been pretty nice outside today. Didn't really go out and do much. I would have liked to, but I was kind of stuck in here sorting out heavy rain for today. Heavy rain's caused me a lot of trouble today. Mainly my PVR has caused me a lot of trouble. Yeah, I don't know why. I think it's a lot to do with I streamed with XSplit through my HD PVR, so I was recording my PS3 stuff through my Justin TV. Did I just say Justin TV? Wow, it's been a long time since that's been used. Through my Twitch, because I was streaming PS3 games the other night. I think it messed up my PVR, where like I go into and try and record today. I record Heavy Rain, and I take my 35-minute video, drag it into Sony Vegas, and it doesn't have an audio track. I was about to flip my lid. I just recorded my episode of Heavy Rain and it doesn't have an audio track. Like, fuck. Oh, it like loses like all my genuine reactions and everything. I'll be like, oh god. So I went and I had a look. I had a look at the actual raw file that I had, and I opened it and the audio started playing. So I'm like, what the hell? The audio is playing on the raw file, and yet when I drag it into Sony Vegas, it's not showing up. And I was wondering if it's like a problem with Sony Vegas, because apparently they have these problems. But then I took the Mario Kart. I still have quite a few Mario Karts to upload, Mario Kart Wii. I dragged that into Sony Vegas, and it worked perfectly fine. The audio was there. So I was like, what have I done wrong here? So yeah, I spent so much time trying to figure that out and trying to sort it out. Like 7 renders later, I managed to get the video done, which was a lot later than I wanted it to be out, but it got out in the long run. So yeah, it took me around to like 3 o'clock. I recorded it pretty much as soon as I got up this morning. I was like, heavy rain today, gotta record. So I did. And then I spent a lot of time just looking at shit and how to fix it. So that was my boring day. Not sure how exciting your day was, but it's most of my day. Then I went outside to mow the lawn, because we were supposed to have a barbecue tonight, because earlier on today the sun was fucking bright. There seems to be a theme with these vlogs. I think it's nice that I started doing these in the summer, because you get that light shining, and especially right now the light is pounding on my face. I'm gonna look like some kind of lit up angel or some shit. Like, you will not get a good idea of the complexion of my skin from the fact that the light is pouring in on me. Mainly, I have to use natural light, because my entire circuit of my lights up here above my head are gone. My dad was pissing around with fuses. That's why the other day when I did my narration on my Pokemon battle, I was like, oh, my computer like died because I accidentally kicked the switch. I didn't actually accidentally kick the switch. My dad fused the entire house, and so everything died. It was literally for a second. It was the weirdest thing though, because it was literally like 3 seconds, and then my monitor and my speakers turned back on again, but obviously my PC had been shut down, so it didn't automatically turn back on. So I was like, fuck, did I just accidentally? Because I'm really wary now of, especially what happened after my laptop. I think I really am annoyed with myself with my laptop and what happened to it, because I think I could have avoided it all if I wasn't so fucking impatient. But I'm impatient. So I woke up that morning and I turned on my laptop and I was like, God, I don't want to sign out of Skype before I have to restart, because I wanted to restart my computer because something was messing up and I wanted to reboot. I was like, oh, I don't want to wait for Skype to close, it's going to take forever. So I just hit the power button, I held it down. I switched it off, switched it back on again, and it didn't work. I was like, oh, I ruined my laptop. So it is really my fault. But, I don't know, doing that in the past has never done anything like that. I think it was like the combination of my laptop being really unstable and me being a stupid idiot. So I'm really wary about that now, so I don't like it when, like, I was in the middle of narrating a video and suddenly power dies. Like, fuck, don't do the same thing. Fortunately, my PC is like a monster, so it can handle these situations. It's perfectly fine. It knows what it's doing. So it's okay, it's not too bad. But yeah, I was outside mowing the lawn. It was, cloud cover was starting to come. I was like, oh no, this isn't good. It's not raining on me now, because it's been so nice all day. And it didn't, but now it's still cloudy, and there's not really, the sun is bright. I can see it in my eyes now. But it's kind of glaring through the clouds. It's not out on its own. It's not ready to come into the real world. It's just hiding behind the clouds. So yeah, that kind of scrapped our plans for a barbecue. So I guess we're gonna have to have something else tonight to eat. Don't know what. Probably just do food inside, like sausages and burgers and fish, prawns, that kind of thing. So that'll be fine, I think. But hey, yeah, it's kind of my day. Yesterday was interesting because I went to see Man of Steel. I said I was going to talk about Man of Steel on the vlog. So I don't know. I don't feel like I'm super well qualified to like review films because I don't really have as much of an insight like in terms of like critiquing films as I do with video games, because I absorb so much media around video games. I read about it every day. I watch videos about video games. I listen to an exorbitant amount of podcasts. I was listening to a podcast while I was mowing the lawn. I was listening to Giant Bomb's interview Dump Truck. Patrick Klepek was doing his E3 diary, which is really awesome. Patrick Klepek, he's become one of my favorite video game journalists. He's really, really good. And he's probably my favorite guy at Giant Bomb. It's a shame he's moving away from the offices to like Chicago, so he's not going to be on the podcast anymore, which is, I feel, quite unfortunate, but he's a good guy. So I was listening to that while I was mowing the lawn, and yeah, I know a lot about video game stuff because I absorb all this information on it, and I have just this knowledge in my head. Whereas films, I don't, like, I listen to one film podcast. I listen to, I'm not sure how many of you listen to this, the Radio 5 Live film review with Simon Mayo and Mark Commode, and they're like two 40-year-old men, and they're really funny, and they do film reviews. Well, Mark Commode's the film critic, but Simon Mayo, he's like a DJ on Radio 1. I think he's on Radio 1, or maybe he's on Radio... Maybe he just jumps around the BBC and does radio stuff, but he's like the presenter, and then Mark's the critic. And so I do have some kind of like idea about how critics work around films and what his opinions are, but I don't know, I haven't actually listened to his review of Man of Steel yet. I'd be interested to hear his take. There's lots of kind of mixed emotions going on around this film. I think a lot of people wanted it to be really good, mainly because so many people were disappointed with the previous film, which was like Return of Superman, or Superman Returns, or something to do with returns. So lots of people didn't like that. I haven't actually seen it myself. Funny story is we actually have a copy of that DVD, but it's an American copy. We have a Region 1. If you don't know how DVDs work, they're split into regions. So Region 1 is America, Region 2 is Europe. So we have a Region 1 copy of Man of Steel, which we found at our cousins. So our cousins have this place at Glen Eagles. They don't actually have the place. They have a timeshare there at Glen Eagles, which is in Scotland. It's where they do golf. And in the DVD player in the place they were staying, there was a copy of Man of Steel. It was a Region 2. So clearly some American family had been staying there before them and forgotten their, not Man of Steel, had forgotten their Superman Returns DVD. So that was stuck in their DVD player, and we stole it, because why not? Because they're not coming back for another year, and they'll have forgotten about it by this point. And let's be honest, they probably didn't care about that film all that much, unless there was some weird Superman fan. Who knows? But if they really were, they should take better care of their belongings, right? So we've got that, and I've had that for like 3-4 years, and we haven't watched it because we don't have the ability to watch... well, technically we do have the ability to watch Region 1 DVDs, because my dad has an American Mac, and Macs from America, well, I think Macs in general, maybe they can, but this one can switch regions, so you can be like, okay, I want Region 1, I want Region 2, but you can only switch regions a finite amount of times. So it's like 5 times to switch between regions, and then the last time you switch, you're stuck with that region. So that's a bit of a problem. And also my dad's Mac has kind of fallen to pieces at this point. It doesn't even work properly, so I don't think I'll ever see that film on that DVD copy. So I'll probably download it at some point or watch it. But so yeah, the general consensus on that was bad. And now so I know a decent amount about Superman because I watched 10 seasons of Smallville. So I watched the entirety of Smallville, so I have a good idea about the lore and a good idea about backstory and stuff. Although Smallville isn't, like, technically... I don't know what is canon, honestly, because they reboot these comic book universes all the time. So I guess I know some sort of stuff, but there were some nice, like, allusions to kind of that era. Well, I mean, there was lots of flashbacks, really, which was interesting. But yeah, I have a decent idea about how Superman forms based on Smallville. I've never really read the comics, but yeah, so Man of Steel's gotten really mixed reactions, and I feel like I am on the more negative end. It was alright. Like, and here's the problem I have, is that, first I've got to take a sip. Problem I have is that there is this void, and it's a void that's a lot of TV shows and movies have, where there is the upper echelon of movies and TV shows, and then there's this void, and then there's the rest of the stuff. So, for example, things like Game of Thrones, Homeland, Breaking Bad, they're on the upper echelons of television shows, and then you have the rest. Like, those kind of shows are just vastly superior from a lot of the shit that comes out on TV. And I feel the same way about movies in terms of, especially superhero movies, where there is Nolan's Batman trilogy. There is, you know, Batman Begins, Dark Knight Rises. That trilogy is in the upper echelon of superhero films. And then there's the rest. Like, I kind of felt, you know, Chris Nolan was producing this film. I kind of felt that maybe Man of Steel could, like, aspire to be up there in the upper echelons with Dark Knight and those films. But it just didn't, like, it just fell short for me. I don't know what specific reason it was, because it's really hard for me to articulate what I didn't like about it. I think, for one thing, they spent far too much time on Krypton at the beginning. I know they wanted to set up that story, and they wanted to set up Zod. But, I don't know, I had a problem with the dialogue as well. There was a lot of cheesy dialogue, especially going between Jor-El and Zod at the beginning. It's like, you will not stop me, kind of like very generic, villainish talk. It just seemed like really generic and kind of lame, honestly. So, I wasn't a big fan of that. And like, Zod in Smallville is a British guy. So I found, and he looks very different, so I kind of found a disconnect there. That's just because my association is with Smallville as opposed to with this new cast of characters. And yeah, I don't know, there were lots of things I didn't like about it. A lot of the problems were like flashbacks as well, because they kind of like, they jumped from him landing on Earth to him in the ship, like... I probably should have said, like, I'm probably going to spoil a lot of Man of Steel, so you probably shouldn't be watching. I'll probably type that in the description whenever I start talking about it. But yeah, so I'm going to probably spoil a lot. But yeah, he just jumps to him on the ship, and he's just doing whatever, and he's like, oh, I'm going to save these people by holding the thing, and then it's flashbacks to when he's a child, and when, you know, his Jonathan Kent's like, oh, son, you're going to be someday, you know. I don't know, it just felt kind of like they're trying to build up this ideal of Superman and never really quite hit the mark. Even though I thought those scenes were quite well played between, what's his name, who plays Jonathan Kent, and the younger Clark Kent. Which was quite good. But then, I don't know, as it went on, I felt like there was far too much emphasis on the action, and not enough emphasis on character development, and on the story as a whole, because the story felt like a really basic plot, and nothing incredibly threatening, because I didn't really believe in Zod as a villain. Well, I mean, you know, he is, in terms of the entire universe, he's a believable villain, but I didn't believe in the guy who was playing him as a villain. He didn't really seem all that threatening to me, so I was kind of disconnected from that. So that was kind of my feeling there. And now I've lost my track of thought, but yeah, it was just like there was too much of it. There was the scenes where everything is being destroyed around, all this fucking destruction's going on. There's like lack of regard for innocent human life. so many people dying, like literally all the untold thousands of innocent people just dying because buildings fell down. And it's all just this bombast and trying to make it look incredible and epic and it's visually stunning. Look, I'm not gonna lie, the film is visually incredible, and that's a similarity it has like with Iron Man 3. Iron Man 3, visually fantastic, but I feel like Iron Man 3 struck more of a interesting balance between story elements and the action, whereas Superman or Man of Steel focused a bit too much on it, and there were just segments where the action just went on and on. I was like, when are you going to finish this segment of the action? Like, can we move on to something else? Because it just felt like this grind almost, where it's like, finish the action already. You just, come on. And they wouldn't. And yeah, it just, I didn't really believe in, I didn't feel like the relationship between Clark and Lois was developed well at all. They didn't really have like a huge amount of interaction, so there wasn't much basis for a relationship at all. And it was interesting how she knew he was Clark Kent right at the start, like before he even dons the suit basically and starts flying around the skies. So that was an interesting choice. I understand why they did it, so that they could have the setup later on where she goes onto the ship and she knows him, and you know, acts as a liaison between him and the military and stuff. But there just wasn't a believability in that relationship, and I feel, you know, there were lots of side characters who kind of like fucking Perry White at the end with that woman who was trapped under the bricks. I don't care if she died. Like, it's like, oh no, this woman might die. Look at all the thousands of innocents who've already died. Did that invoke some kind of, you know, you're trying to connect me with this character who I don't give a fuck about, and you're like, oh, she might die under the rubble. So? So many other people have died? It's like, what difference does it make just because you're a named character who I didn't even know the name of? Yeah, so I did feel disconnected there. I just felt disconnected from the whole thing, really. Which is unfortunate, because I really wanted to like Man of Steel, and I really was, you know, I was up for a good Superman film. And it was okay. I'll say it's okay. But it just didn't hit the mark. It wasn't, there's a difference between good and great, and it wasn't great. So, that's my thoughts on Man of Steel. So, yeah, kind of all over the place. And, the fact that I'm drinking a beer probably doesn't help. I'm trying to articulate my thoughts, but so be it. That's probably going to be it for the vlog. Book of the day. Gotta do book of the day. Darth Plagueis, Star Wars, Darth Plagueis. This is a book I've been wanting to read for a really long time, because I've been wanting to get back into reading a lot more stuff in general, and I'm doing that with Storm of Swords and basically the Song of Ice and Fire series right now. But I also wanted to have a look at other like Star Wars books, because I like Star Wars a lot, and I'm interested in kind of the lore and everything. And yeah, I think like the backstory to Sidious and to Chancellor Palpatine is really like something I'd be really interested in. So I've got that to get through. As soon as I finish Storm of Swords, I'll probably start on that and read Feast for Crows and Darth Plagueis at the same time. But I'm kind of interested in the expanded universe stuff for Star Wars, so get into that and see how that goes. I'll let you know what I think of it when I read it. Yeah. Hey, this was a video. Thank you very much for watching, and finish that, and I guess I'll see you guys next week, and we'll talk about something else. So thank you for watching, and goodbye!